All right, welcome to the Carl Jackson Show, your daily dose of objective truth in a world of confusion and lies. Guys, let's start with the elephant in the room. Here's the video of Tony Hinchcliffe that sent the left absolutely crazy and frankly got a lot of Puerto Ricans pissed at former President Donald Trump. Let's roll it. Video clip number 16. Por favor, Gabe.
A lot going on. Like, I don't know if you guys know this, but there's literally a floating island of garbage in the middle of the ocean right now. Yeah. I think it's called Puerto Rico. Okay, all right. Okay, we're getting there. Now, again, normally I don't follow the national anthem, everybody. This isn't exactly a perfect comedy setup. There's some people here. All right, very good. I like it. I have other policies that I think it should be implemented as well.
All right, we can hold it there. We can hold it there. That was the elephant in the room, calling Puerto Rico what was it? Basically a floating piece of garbage, or an island that's a floating piece of garbage, or whatever he said. Listen, let me put it this way. I'm a free speech absolutist. I think that this guy performed in Madison Square Garden twice before this year, maybe more times than that. I don't know. So if someone paid for that show, they knew exactly what they were getting. I had never heard of Tony Hinchcliffe before this particular event. This was the wrong place and the wrong time to deliver that joke. However, having said that, I'm going to say this, and I'm going to challenge it to all the men out there, especially Puerto Rican men, minority men, but Puerto Rican especially, because that's who this joke was directed towards. This guy's an equal opportunity offender, but this was the wrong place and the wrong time to say this joke. However, I'm going to say this. It's time to man up when it comes to stuff like this. Here's the bottom line. You have a Democrat Party that are attempting to destroy the country, to destroy the United States of America. You have a Democrat Party that are assaulting your best interests, your ability to be able to put food on your table, the ability to be able to pay your car note, the ability to be able to put, a roof over your head. And so here's what I would challenge you as a man to do. And I'm just speaking as a man to man and as American man to more American men. Do not let this joke dictate how you will vote and dictate the decisions that you will make that are in the best interest of yourself, your family, and your country. I think it's okay to be upset by this. I don't think it's okay for this to allow this to linger. I feel like we've gotten to a place in society where men of all ethnicities have become so sensitive that we're no longer men. We went from being these men that were rational and logical and strong to let me be outraged. I'm so emotional. And I really believe that this is intentional. I believe this is part of the left's plan to emasculate men. And frankly, I see it happening in my own community. I see it happening in the Black community. You see it happening, particularly when it comes. Now, I'm speaking in general. Obviously, there's always going to be exceptions to the rule. But when you look at the Black community, when you look at so many single moms in the Black community, so many young men, young boys that are raised into men by their moms, and you can see how emotional many of them are or become. And there's not as much logic and reason, especially when it comes to confrontational type issues or confrontational type conversations. As a matter of fact, you go to any jail, you go to any prison, and you talk to the men in there, the inmates in there, the vast majority of them will tell you that they did not have their dad in their lives, or there was some type of disconnect. They didn't have a great relationship with their dad. So I'm just going to caution you. I'm going to bring this back full circle. Democrats, what they want to do is to make you mad so that you don't think. Don't allow them to make you so mad that you lose ration and you lose reason and you lose logic, and you're so hot. Oh, I can't believe they said this about Puerto Rico, and so I'm not gonna vote for Trump. Listen, you can hate on the man all day, but if you're a man, you want to advance the best agenda for your family and for America. All right, it's as simple as that. I would say that to those that are Christian as well. Your goal is to advance the kingdom of God. And if you're going to be so sensitive that you're going to stay on this topic forever, honestly, I would challenge you to man up. I'm just going to be straight up with you. I don't like what he said. I would never go see this guy. I don't find this stuff funny at all, but I am a free speech absolutist. This is America. I believe that we can compete in America in the arena of ideas, and I believe that there are better messages and even funnier comedians that will prevail. But I do believe in a marketplace of ideas. So I don't like what he said. I think it was a bad idea for the Trump campaign to not vet this guy thoroughly and to bring him in. I'll be honest with you, any political campaign, I wouldn't bring any comedian in within the last couple of weeks of a campaign. Frankly, when more people are going out to vote, I wouldn't bring them in once people are voting, period, especially with this early voting cycle. I think it was a bad mistake by the Trump campaign to bring this guy in. Having said that, if you vote against your best interest because you're so pissed off that this guy said something that offends you, I would encourage you to go to the doctor and get a testosterone shot, because that's sad. You're a man. Act like it. All right, let's move on from this. Let's go to, actually, we're not going to move on. We're going to stay with this Madison Square Garden rally, because it was a very successful rally. Unfortunately, that one joke, the left has glommed onto that one joke, and they have gone crazy over it. So again, you don't want to give the left ammo. You never want to give the left ammo. And unfortunately, the Trump campaign, where everybody should be focused on the success of that Madison Square Garden rally, because it was a huge success. 20,000 people packed Madison Square Garden. You had probably an equal amount of people outside wanting to get into Madison Square Garden. It was a 6-hour rally. That was 11 minutes of the 6-hour rally. And right now, at least, that's all people are talking about, or the vast majority of the mainstream media even is talking about, because the goal is to take Trump down. The goal is for you to vote against your best interest by voting for Kamala Harris, or for you to stay home. Don't stay home. Man up and make your voice heard. I spoke to several of my friends today that happen to be Puerto Rican. I won't give you their names, but I can say one is very politically involved. And I'm just being real with you. I asked him specifically, how will this impact the race? How will this impact the Trump campaign? Listen, Trump is doing very good with the Latino vote right now. CNN had a poll earlier, if I'm not mistaken, amongst Latinos. Trump is doing very well in places like Arizona and Nevada. He's doing very well in the Sun Belt states when it comes to the, I don't like calling them Hispanic, but when it comes to the Latino vote. All right. But, you know, will that change? I don't think so. The gentleman that I spoke to said, here's the bottom line. People understand who Trump is. They're not attributing this joke to Trump. And there are so few undecideds at this point. He doesn't believe that it'll make a meaningful difference, but he didn't like the joke. Obviously, he's Puerto Rican. Another buddy of mine, if I can just read the text that he shared with me, actually, and I don't mind it. You some of you guys, if you've listened to me from back in the day, you'll know him. My former co-host, Mickey Alvarez, is what I used to call him. Here's what he shared. And this is Spanglish for those of you guys that might remember Mickey, but he said, many are upset, TV hosts, radio hosts, podcasters. We are proud people. Speaking of Puerto Ricans, how obviously, even if it's true, we do not want to hear it from someone else. I do not believe it's going to affect the elections. These same people, he speaks Spanglish, so I'm going to try to translate. So these same people believe that freedom of speech, and that Trump did not. They believe in freedom of speech is what he was saying, and Trump didn't say it. He said in regards to Ricky Martin, because I asked him about the Ricky Martin Bad Bunny endorsement, and he said the people that get up and vote don't care about their opinion. They are both supporting the Independence Party of Puerto Rico with ties with Venezuela's Maduro and Cuba. Ricky Martin is fighting years of child molestation accusations of his nephew, and J-Lo. She should be worried about her involvement with P. Diddy. He said Puerto Rican politician, Puerto Rico representative Elizabeth Torres said it best. And he said, I'm going to translate because she said it in Spanish, obviously. But she said, and I'm quoting, vote. No one gives us orders on how to think, how to act, or how to vote. A joke from an idiot is not going to change the, I'm not sure what he was trying to say here, the thrust that we are going to give to the satanic agenda. Speaking of Kamala Harris's campaign. So basically she's saying, don't let this idiot stop you from voting against the satanic agenda of Kamala Harris. And I would totally agree with that. That was a very good take. I have another buddy of mine that happens to be, he lives in a very well-to-do, area. Works in a very well-to-do area, I should say, and he does well for himself. But he's I'll say he's in charge of different several employees where he's at, and many of these employees he's been able to share Christ with. He's been able to share conservative values with. He's Puerto Rican. He's been able to convince them to vote for Donald Trump in this election. But a lot of these people are newbies when it comes to politics, and all they've known is hate Trump, hate Trump, hate Trump. But he's been sticking his neck out for Trump and trying to persuade these people. And so when something like this happens, if you're a newbie to politics, and a lot of people on the right are, just get over it, just get over. Well, listen, man, if you don't understand the culture, you don't understand the culture. Now, ultimately, I am saying man up. But at the same token, I understand. I get it, especially when you're new to this political game and you don't understand that this kind of stuff is going to happen all the time, but you can't let it shake you. You got to let it, strengthen you. You know what I'm saying? And you've always got to look for, you've always got to vote for the best interest, faith, family, freedom. It comes down to that. The best interest of your religious beliefs, the best interest when it comes to your family and freedom, and making sure that you stay free. So those always have to be at the center, at the top of your mind. That's got to be the objective, to faith, family, freedom, to vote for those three things. And particularly for those of us that are Christian, the goal should always be to advance the kingdom of heaven here on earth. No, not to be a theocracy, but you always want to have free speech. You always want to be able to share the gospel. You know what I'm saying? You always want to make sure that the culture isn't totally degenerate. And the only way that's going to happen is if you're involved in the political process, and if you get to have a say in the political process. So just understand that. All right. So we got a lot of video that I'm going to run through. But what my last buddy said that I'm very appreciative of, and it convicted me even, he was like, listen, I love Trump. I'm going to vote for Trump. My family's going to vote for Trump. But he has to keep in mind, and I know Trump didn't do this, but his campaign should have vetted this guy much better. And again, I don't hate the guy. This is the guy is very popular. I looked at the entire comic skit, and I'm like, just not for me, and the wrong place to deliver this type of comedic skit. They should have invited somebody else. Honestly, I don't think they should have invited a comedian at all. But if he sells out Madison Square Garden and people pay for that, so be it. Free country, free speech. You know what I'm saying? But when my buddy said, listen, I stuck my neck out for Trump, and that's the stuff that he's got to keep in mind, because I'm trying to persuade other people that are of my heritage to come and vote for him. But they hear something like this, and you know what I'm saying? And I'm sticking my neck out because I could lose my job. I could lose family, friends. So just help a brother out. That's all he was saying. And I can appreciate that, whether you like it. Listen, I can appreciate that. But ultimately, every single one of them said, I'm still voting for Trump. I'm not voting for Kamala Harris's agenda, but it would really be nice if he came out and said something. I just lost sound. All right. So if he came out and said something regarding this issue. Listen, from what I understand, he came on Hannity. I did not see that, but I understand that he came on Hannity and addressed it directly. But I would say this, man, this is an opportunity, really, 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 because this is what the left has done to the black community. Just as I expressed before, they've emasculated a lot. They've made a lot of black men very emotional by taking the dads out of the house, incentivizing dads to leave the home through government programs, by big government, large S. And men should be logical. Obviously, you're always going to feel some type of emotion first, whether it's anger, whether it's lust, love, whatever it may be. But men should always go to being rational and logical. Women should too, but ultimately, that's a man's job to be steady when it comes to his emotions. And I think what the left wants to do, they want to make you mad so that you do not think. All right. But do not let your emotions control you. Be governed by your faith, be governed by reason, be governed by logic. All right. So make sure that you do that. All right. We got some video that I want to get through. Now, all that damage, right? All that damage that that at least the left perceived was done to Trump. Here's what Jon Stewart had to say about it. Let's go to video clip number 17. Por favor, Gabe. I thought this was very interesting. Jon Stewart, obviously a man, a liberal, but a comedian. He can be fair, but sometimes he goes far left. But anyway, here's what he had to say about this comedian, Tony Hinchcliffe, that was invited to the Trump Madison Square Garden rally. Let's roll it. Okay, I am astonished to watch that video, but I'm glad to watch that video. I'll tell you what, I'll be honest with you. It gives me hope for America. Carl, how can you say that? Because there's some honest liberals out there. Jon Stewart and I probably disagree on, 70, 80% of issues, but he's a comedian. He's a comedian. It's what he does. And honestly, I suspect that he would defend this guy. He likes this guy. He thinks this guy is funny. He's a comedian. I never heard of the guy before, but he has an infinity for free speech, being a comedian. And that's a good thing. So to see him defend him, even though he's not a fan of Trump, he can't stand Trump, I can absolutely appreciate that. Now, I got to tell you, Kamala Harris came out and she gave a speech tonight. I'll go through the speech tomorrow night. I did not listen to it. Didn't have an opportunity. I'm doing some catch up work for those of you that are listening in. By the way, subscribe to the podcast wherever you go to get your podcast: Apple, Google, Spotify, YouTube, and Rumble. The Carl Jackson Show is where you can find me on all things social media at Carl Jackson Show. And also for t-shirts, carljacksonmerch.itemorder.com. Check out the t-shirts that we have there for you. Por favor. But honestly, again, I love what Jon Stewart did. This Madison Square Garden rally was a tremendous success, but the left is going to try to do their best to distract from it. I want to play a couple more. Actually, I got several more clips, but I want to play this. This is Tim Walz, because what the left wants you to believe is that, the people that attended that rally, what he saw at that rally were a bunch of Nazis. He doubled down. He doubles down on it. Doubled down on it. Clip number 18, por favor, Gabe.
You said over the weekend, referring to it, there's a direct parallel to a big rally that happened in the mid-1930s at Madison Square Garden. Well, look, you were comparing that rally to a Nazi rally?
Look, I'm comparing it to the hate that came out of this, and I think they confirmed that.
You stand by that comparison, though, to a Nazi rally?
Look, the rally, you saw it for yourself. I'll let the American public make the decision of what they saw.
What a coward.
So I know what I saw, and I'll just leave it at that.
So he saw a Nazi rally. A guy, by the way, who we found out this week was sleeping with the daughter of a CCP official. Basically, according to her, treating her like a prostitute, promising her the world, and then he bounces, says he's going to take her to the United States of America, never does. So he takes all these trips to China and allegedly sleeps with the daughter of a CCP official. That is Tim Walz. He's talking about Nazism. The guy is a complete and utter joke. If Kamala Harris loses, I believe she will, this will go down as her first major mistake that made that very possible. That guy is a complete and utter idiot, a complete and utter disaster. But there's someone else that's a complete and utter idiot and a disaster who just accidentally happened to speak up. See, I don't know if you guys know this. I shared this with you earlier, but the Biden campaign and the Harris campaign, or Biden staffers, Harris staffers, are kind of warring with each other. Biden wants to be out on the stump more. He feels like he deserves to be there. I mean, after all, he's the president of the United States. He's the reason that Kamala is in the position that she's in. First off, he gave her the vice presidency. Now, I understand that people had kind of twisted and turned his arm, and Barack Obama was a huge part of that. making sure that Kamala would be the vice president of the United States. But ultimately, it had to be Joe Biden's decision. And now they're warring. She doesn't even want him out on the campaign. She feels like he's a liability. And I got to tell you, I personally believe that the Obamas and Tim Walz are a bigger liability to Kamala Harris than Joe Biden is. But I may have changed my mind after this clip surfaced. Let's go to video clip number 19, please, Gabe. This is the latest when it comes to the...
I'm in my home state of Delaware. They're good, decent, honorable people. The only garbage I see floating out there is his supporters. His demonization is seen as unconscionable, and it's un-American.
All right. Thank you, Joe Biden. I appreciate that. So everybody was getting, our mainstream media was trying to do their best to distract from the success of the Madison Square Garden rally, Trump's Madison Square Garden rally, or MSG rally, if you will. And so by using this guy, Tony Hinchcliffe's, stupid joke to try to distract from everything else that was said at that particular rally. And then Joe Biden decides to come out and to call all of, just like Hillary Clinton called Trump supporters deplorables, now apparently everyone that votes for Trump are pieces of garbage. Thank you, Joe Biden. I can't stand Kamala Harris, but you have to sit there and just imagine what she's thinking, how she's feeling when this surfaced that Joe Biden said just this. It's absolutely insane. But I got to tell you, there were people out there that really believed that the Madison Square Garden rally, or MSG rally, was a big success for Trump. I want to find Jonathan Karl speaking about it. Where is that? On video clip number 15. This is John Karl on ABC with I think that's George Stephanopoulos there. So let's go ahead and check out what he said. Cut number 15, please, Gabe.
Look, I was there for about 6 hours yesterday. First thing I've got to say, Madison Square Garden was packed. People waited hours to get in. They sat through hour after hour of this rally. They were fervent in their devotion to all things Trump. Trump has created a movement. There is no doubt. I cannot think of another Republican figure of my lifetime who could have come into a Democratic city like New York and put together anything like that.
Okay, so now you want proof that Trump is creating a movement? I want to take you to a clip from the NFL. Now, they've since erased this in some places on Google, but video clip number 13. This is NFL player for the 49ers, Nick Bosa. And here's what he did. He crash bombed an on-the-field interview after the game, a post-game interview. Let's roll this video clip number 13.
Points in the first half. What was said during halftime? Hey. All right. Nick Bosa with a message there.
All right. So Nick Bosa, wearing the Make America Great Again, had apparently about 9 or 10 years ago, he was part of cancel culture because of something that his friends put on Instagram or something to that effect. The left went after him hard. Now he's a major Trump. Supporter, which I found absolutely fascinating. But here's what I want you to contemplate. Do you think something like this would have happened a few years ago? The stigma of Trump, or Make America Great Again. Remember how people were scared to talk about it? People were scared to admit they're voting for Trump. It wasn't a cultural thing. You were scared that people would scold you, try to embarrass you, shame you, and all that kind of good stuff. That's wearing off. People are so tired of the Kamala Harrises of the world, the Obamas of the world, the Joe Bidens of the world, that are telling them that only one viewpoint matters. And then if you don't believe what they believe, then you're not a good person. You're garbage and all this kind of stuff. Now, Nick Bosa did a press conference in regards to what he had done. But just contemplate this, the video that you just saw. Nick, the NFL, from kneeling to a guy crash bombing an on-field or a post-game interview with a Make America Great Again. This is no longer the league of Colin Kaepernick. The culture is shifting. Things are changing. Video clip number 12. This is Nick Bosa reacting to it, or asking questions, or answering.
I'm not going to talk too much about it, but I think it's an important time.
All right. It's an important time. The guy knows what's on the line. He's been part of cancel culture before. The left is trying to cancel him again as a result of that. If you guys if you're in doubt about how popular that particular rally was at MSG, I would just want to give you a camera overview, video clip number 10, Gabe, if you will get that ready. This was the crowd outside so that no one could tell you. As a matter of fact, Kamala Harris gave her speech today, and she had to bus people in. This is the crowd outside that were not allowed to go into Madison Square Garden on both sides of the stadium there. I mean, it's just absolutely fascinating. This is in the middle of Blue New York. I mean, just think about that. Just think about that. I do believe that momentum is on Trump's side. I believe he's going to win. Now, I could be wrong. But I got to tell you, I just think he has the momentum. I do believe that this Tony Hinchcliffe thing, I think so many people have voted early. I don't think that it'll have a major impact, but I do believe you don't want to leave any vote on the table. You don't want to take chances like this. The last couple, I know a lot of people aren't going to want to hear it, but I'm going to just be straight with you. This is not a chance that I would take. I think he should have been voted better. Why? Because I want to run up the score. I don't want to leave I don't want to leave anybody on the field. You know what I'm saying? I want everybody that's on the team or potentially on the team to be a part of the team. I don't want any vote uncounted. I want to run up the score. I want the left to understand that there's a mandate. And so you don't want to make mistakes like this, especially, mistakes that are just so absolutely unnecessary. However, I'm not going to harp on it because I think it was a good rally. Here's Dr. Phil, video clip number 1. Here's what Dr. Phil had to say at the rally. Let's go ahead and play that, por favor, Gabe.
But as for you, the collective you, I don't want you to just listen and say, nice talk, Dr. Phil. I want you to march in your life. I want you to march with your beliefs. I want you to not be intimidated. Don't be stopped and don't just vote. Take 5 people with you. Like I said, the difference between winners and losers is winners do things losers don't want to do. And what they do is they take actions toward known outcomes. They deal with the truth. They set goals and they go after them with passion. And it's time for us to bring it home. It's time for us to bring it home. It's time for us to be winners. Winners, winners, winners. I started by telling you I love this country. I'll finish by telling you I love this country, and I love you for loving this country. God bless you, and God bless the United States of America.
I wonder if Oprah is going to call him a racist. That's fascinating. I got to be honest with you. Until we went through some video clips, I did not realize that Dr. Phil had given a speech there. I didn't have time to watch the whole thing, just bits and pieces. I didn't even realize that Dr. Phil had spoken. That's huge. That's huge. And I think the left knows it. Actually, I know the left knows it. That's why Kamala is out there giving a speech, the same place that Trump gave his J6 speech, and trying to make it a unity speech when it's not unity. She's pretty angry. She's pretty desperate at this point. The race is close, so not only do we need to show up in early voting, but those that are going to show up, make sure you show up to vote, whether it's early voting, whether it's election day, whether it's mailing in your ballot and making sure that stuff is already in or gotten in time. Here's President Trump. I thought this was really cool. He was glad to be back in New York City. There's no place like your hometown. There's no place like it. Let's go to video clip number 2. Here's what Trump had to say about being in Madison Square Garden and back in New York City.
I'm thrilled to be back in the city I love, and thousands of proud, hardworking American patriots. You're with me. We're all together. We've always been together. And I'd like to begin by asking a very simple question. Are you better off now than you were 4 years ago?
I believe that joke in the future will be a blip on the radar, and they will go back to that line. And I believe that that overwhelmingly will be remembered in the memory books, although they will have this particular comedian said something that, whatever. But I just think it'll be a sentence or so in the history books. Here's what he had to say. He announced a new policy that he was rolling out. I'm announcing a new policy that today that we'll see that I will support a tax credit for family caregivers. A lot of people like that. Let's go ahead and roll that, please, Gabe. That's video clip number 3.
I'm announcing a new policy today that I will support a tax credit for family caregivers who take care of a parent or a loved one. It's about time that they were recognized, right? They add so much to our country and are never spoken of, ever, but they're going to be spoken of now. Thank you all very much.
All right. So, I mean, just good stuff. Let's go right to video clip number 4. This got a raucous applause. Trump talking about the death penalty when it comes to illegal aliens coming into invading our country and killing people in our country. Video clip number 4, please, Gabe.
And I'm hereby calling for the death penalty for any migrant that kills an American citizen or a law enforcement officer.
The guy just has a look. I mean, whether you like him or not, he just looks so freaking presidential, and that background looks amazing. And for Tim Walz, did we already play Tim Walz? Yeah, doubling down on the Nazi clip. I guess the New York Knicks are not Nazis, and apparently it's not even the same building that Hitler spoke in, but Hillary Clinton spoke in Madison Square Garden. Is she a Nazi? I mean, this stuff is just asinine. They just think people are stupid. They think people are children. Their goal is to just to keep you mad. It fascinates me. Some of the messages that I will get from liberals, from leftists, it's just always angry. No policy stuff. Trump is this. Trump is that. No, you know what? Even if you hate Trump's guts, you're a grown freaking adult. Sit down and figure out what policies are best for this country. And if the left's goal, their goal is always to make you so mad. As my buddy Christopher Hart says, it's political theater. They need a bad guy and they need a good guy. And the left's goal is to always make Trump the bad guy. But you have to see through that and say, well, wait a minute. His policies, I may not like the guy, but his policies work for you. You don't have to listen to him. You don't have to watch his tweets or his truths or whatever you call them on Truth Social. You don't have to listen to pressers. You can just bask in the policy, in the goodness, if you will, of the policies. Here's Trump clip number 6 talking about when it comes to issue after issue. Kamala broke it. He'll fix it. Video clip number 6, please, Gabe.
On issue after issue, Kamala broke it, but I will fix it. We're going to fix it.
And that's the truth. When you consider issue after issue, whether it's open borders and the crime that has come as a result to that, or the displacement in places like Springfield, Ohio, where people are having a harder time finding jobs, or they're being replaced by illegal migrants that are coming in. Resources are becoming more scarce because of illegals that have been flown into the country by the Biden-Harris administration. It's absolutely insane. Now, here's something that's a lot of people, this sounds conspiratorial, but it's not. This is the truth. This is video clip number 7. We're not just running against Kamala. She means nothing. She's purely a vessel. I want you to hear this clip in its entirety. Video clip number 7, please, Gabe.
But we're just not running against Kamala. I think a lot of our politicians here tonight know this. She means nothing. She's purely a vessel. That's all she is. When you see her up there talking about
Man, ain't that the
grass
truth?
on my front lawn. I grew up in a middle-class neighborhood, and I had grass on my front lawn. Yeah, but we're asking, what would you do to fix the country? And why didn't you do it? You had almost 4 years. Why didn't you do this stuff? Now she's becoming more MAGA than those politicians I just told you about from the different states. She can't put two sentences together. She's just like, she's really just like, in many ways, crooked Joe Biden. And she never said to us, she never told us that Joe was not functioning properly. She should have. Because, we're talking about the life of the most important country in the world. We need very smart people. We're running against something far bigger than Joe or Kamala and far more powerful than them, which is a massive, vicious, crooked, radical left machine that runs today's Democrat Party. They're just vessels. In fact, they're perfect vessels because they'll never give them a hard time. They'll do whatever they want. I know many of them. It's just this amorphous group of people. But they're smart and they're vicious. And we have to defeat them. And when I say the enemy from within, the other side goes crazy, becomes a sound. Oh, how can he say? No, they've done very bad things to this country. They are indeed the enemy from within. But this is who we're fighting. These are the people who are doing such harm to our country with their open border policies, record-setting inflation, Green New Scam, and everything else that they're doing. But we're not going to let it happen any longer. We're going to have the biggest victory in the history of our country on November 5th. It's going to be the biggest victory in history. We're going to make America great again, everybody.
All right. I mean, and this is just two more clips here. 8, this is Kamala Harris proving that she's still a left-winger. Video clip number 8, por favor, Gabe.
Generally speaking, how should voters look at some of the changes that you've made, that you've explained some of here?
You guys remember this?
In your policy? Is it because you have more experience now and you've learned more about the information? Is it because you were running for president in a Democratic primary? And should they feel comfortable and confident that what you're saying now is going to be your policy moving forward?
Dana, I think the most important and most significant aspect of my policy perspective and decisions is my values have not changed. You mentioned the Green New Deal. I have always believed, and I have worked on it, that the climate crisis is real, that it is an urgent matter, to which we should apply metrics that include holding ourselves to deadlines around time. We did that with the Inflation Reduction Act. We have set goals for the United States of America and by extension the globe around when we should meet certain standards for reduction of greenhouse gas emissions, as an example. That value has not changed.
Okay, that value has not changed. This lady is still a left-wing liberal. Her values have not changed, and you should believe her when it comes to the border, when it comes to the economy, when it comes to crime. Her values have not changed. When it comes to hating Christmas, you guys might remember that video that I played for you a long time ago. Kamala, how dare you say Merry Christmas when it comes to basically illegal immigrants? This is a lady that has helped to destroy the state of California. I was born and raised in Los Angeles. There were always pockets of Los Angeles and pockets of California I could go to where I felt like it was such an escape. Now, when I go and visit, homelessness everywhere. The highway looks dirty. The places, the cities look run down. It is insane. Crime is rampant. And don't let them tell you any differently. As a matter of fact, the FBI just recently revised numbers. And a lot of these larger blue cities don't even report the numbers, but they still revise some numbers, at least stating that crime is up in some places. I mean, it's astronomical, nearly 50%. It's insane. It is insane. And California is one of those places. That was an oldie but goodie. That was Kamala's first interview with Dana Bash after the media even got tired of her hiding. And she's been a disaster ever since. I'll leave you with this. This is the last clip from President Trump. This is the city where I was born and raised. And this is the town that taught me that Americans can do anything. Video clip number 9, please, Gabe.
But this is the city where I was born and raised, and this is the town that taught me that Americans can do anything when they want to. So no matter our differences, when we work together, there is nothing that we cannot achieve. From New York to Las Vegas, from Philadelphia to Phoenix, from Chicago to Charlotte, from Atlanta to Detroit, this nation was built by generations of American patriots who gave everything they had for our rights, our future, and for our freedom. Through freezing cold winters and hot scorching summers, through storms and setbacks and conflicts and danger, our American ancestors pushed onward, marched forward, and overcame every single obstacle that stood in their way. Together they crossed the oceans, settled a continent, tamed the wilderness, laid down the railroads, raised up those mighty skyscrapers, built the highways, won 2 world wars, defeated fascism and communism, and launched American astronauts to the moon. It was hardworking patriots like you who built this country, and 9 days from now, it's hardworking patriots like you who are going to save our country.
7 days from now. 7 days from now, guys, we get to fire Biden, Harris. We get to make sure that Kamala Harris never steps foot in the White House as president of the United States. Man, I cannot wait. That last video clip was classic Americana. The American dream, the American mindset. Not that we're better, but because we live in a place, the greatest place that God has ever given man. We have a duty, we have a responsibility to protect it, but also to do our best to cultivate the gifts that God has given us, because we live in such a free space, a free place. Man, I love that closing. I love it. I love that closing. The truth of the matter is, the left wants you talking about Tony Hinchcliffe. They want you obsessed with him, and they want Puerto Ricans mad, because truthfully, when you look at that rally, when you watch that rally in its entirety, they're scared of what they saw. They saw a blue city filled with red MAGA hats, with different ethnicities packing the joint that wanted change. And they weren't talking about Barack Obama. That's the truth. They were talking about Trump. Until next time, guys, don't grow weary doing good. God bless you. Hey guys, Carl Jackson here for MyPillow. A large retail store just canceled a huge order, leaving MyPillow with a ton of extra MyPillows. But guess what? That's their loss and it's your gain. For the first time ever, you can get a standard classic MyPillow for wholesale prices, just $14.88. But it gets even better. For a limited time, they're offering their entire classic collection at wholesale prices. So you can get a queen size MyPillow for just $18.88. Upgrade to king for just $1 more. Get the body pillows for $29.88 and multi-use MyPillows for just $9.88. Go to MyPillow.com. Use the promo code Carl, C-A-R-L. I don't spell it like the communist. Or call 800-858-0263 to take advantage of wholesale pricing for the first time ever. And on top of that, receive free shipping on orders that are over $75. They have never been offered this low before. There are limited quantities at this price. So the limit is 10, and once they're gone, they are gone. Again, go to MyPillow.com, use the promo code Carl, C-A-R-L, or give them a call at 800-858-0263. Again, use the promo code Carl to get the standard MyPillow for just $14.88, the lowest price ever.